So it's my latest acquisition. This is the Dell XPS 600, and bought for the princely sum of £30 from my Facebook chat. And I'm very pleased with it. It's a lovely design, the sort of design that I wish Dell still made. So it's basically a XPS gaming machine and it was manufactured in 2006. And I thought just give you a quick overview of some of the features on it. So we have this rather lovely silver case. When I say silver, it's sort of silver fronted, and it has this sort of metal piece here which has a little surprise to it when it starts up. I'll show you that later. And then around the side it sort of melds into a black side panel, but these Dell inlays are all metal, so they shine really nicely. It's a nice case design. It's the clamshell design, so it opens in a really unusual way. And so same sort of Dell logos on the side. So on the front here we've obviously got the power supply switch, and then a hard drive activity light. This little flap here which hides the headphone and microphone socket to a USB and a FireWire, plus all the diagnostic LEDs at the bottom there. Hides those. Then you have this rather splendid door. So if you pull it gently, it opens up, and it has a little flap that actually allows it to fold flat like that to expose the floppy drive. Don't know if there's one in there, but I'll have a look later. And up to 3 5¼ inch drives for other goodies. So let's have a quick. So put that. Well, what I will say is the plastic surrounds are quite flimsy, so I can understand. I'm lucky that with this one, this is a nice example, so it's not broken in any way. But I can see how these can very easily break or fall off or whatever. And basically what that does is that slaps into place like that and is not in use. Around the back we've got the mechanism to open it up, and I shall do that in a minute. Let's have a quick look round the back. So this is the back of the XPS 600. Now this is very typical of Dell in that it's proprietary everything. So once things start to break in this machine, I'm sure it's going to be very difficult to replace them all. But right at the bottom there is the power supply. So the power supply sits in the bottom of the case and is quite flat. So again, very proprietary, not a standard power supply at all. Then we have some number of blanking plates. In this one we see we have a USB and I think it's a FireWire. I'm not sure. card, and then the graphics card. I don't know what the graphics card is. I haven't really powered it on much at the moment to see. Then you've got the I/O plate, which you've got serial, PS2, FireWire, full set of sound, and then a further 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 USBs and Ethernet. So no onboard graphics, so you have to have a graphics card on this one. You can see the power cord at the supply down there at the bottom. So with the thing on its side, we can see the information panel. You can see there it was manufactured in March of 2006 in Ireland, and it came with Windows XP Professional. So I will be putting Windows 7 on it, I think. I've tried putting XP on a couple of machines, and it's fun and all, but usability is a little restricted. That's the underneath of it. So it's lying on its side. Now to open it, took me a little while to work this out, but you basically, to move the light out of the way, push this up, and that releases. Oops, I have to move something because it's going to fall off. Move this speaker thing. So once that releases it, and then it pulls up in the clamshell way. So inside, so we've got you can see the bays for the 2 DVDs, and I see there is no floppy in there, so I might put one in there for a laugh. So I know that one of these DVDs isn't working, so that'll be pulled out, but I do have a rather nice silver fronted DVD that I can put in here, sort of complete that sort of silver look. Inside here is the housing for the hard drives, and you do this by pinching this little thing together and pulling it out, and then you can get access to the hard drive caddies with their little brackets. Again, this is all, oops, this is all this very flimsy green plastic of the era. Let's see if I can put this back in there. Of course, you know, you have to watch this stuff because it's quite old now, and it might break, which is why I'm trying very hard to put this in gently. Now, how's it go? Let's see. Go on, get in your pocket. There we are. Pinch that to go back in. Ah, lovely. So they sit in there. And we've got this sort of front case fan. Now on this particular one, the screw seems to be missing from down there, which means it moves around and catches with this side thing when you're trying to close the case. So something to watch. Anyway, so there's a little front panel. But again, all this flimsy green plastic stuff. There's the motherboard. Again, very proprietary. Only and this enormous shroud on the top, so I might try and take that off in a minute. Got this graphics card, rather fabulous. And it says NVIDIA. Again, I shall find out a little later which one it is, but it's quite big. And it sort of sits in this sort of end bracket down there. Fortunately, this thing will take SATA drive, so I don't need to rely on old IDE. So I'll be putting a SATA drive in here. Right, so let's see if I can get this. Right, so time to switch it on. There's the joy. It's got a little blue light on the front. Anyway, so let's have a quick look at the. Whoops, got to press the old F2. F2. There we go. So a little bit of information. Right, so it's now switched on, and you can hear it actually, because it's got this like quite noisy hum about it. But that's old computers, I guess. So we're now into the BIOS. So a quick canter through the BIOS. So the actual BIOS version is A09. I need to upgrade that because the latest version is A11. So I'll be doing that at some point. Processor information. So it's the Dell Pentium D CPU at 3 GHz. I think this is upgradable to a slightly faster processor, but it only takes Pentium D. I've read different conflicting things about it might take a Core 2 Duo or Quad once the BIOS is updated, but so I'm still looking into that a bit more. Again, this is just the 3 GHz Pentium D with 800 megabytes bus speed. Megahertz, sorry. Memory, right now it's got 4 slots. There are 2 slots occupied with a 1 gig memory stick running at 533, so that's PC 4200 or 4300. I'm going to see if I can put it up to the it'll take slightly faster memory than this. so I'm going to see if I can get up to 4 gigs. It will take, apparently it will take up to 8, so it'll take 4 2 gigs sticks. But whether actually, I don't know if I've got that many. I think I've probably got just 4 1 gig. So that's what I'm going to try and up it to. That's my first upgrade. Piece of information, there's nothing in there at the moment. There's no hard drive, so not much to report there. Date and time is out of date, so I think the CMOS battery needs replacing, which I will be doing. Boot sequence, fine, drives. I'm not going to change any of these things because once I replace the battery, I'll have to change it all again. But normally I would make sure smart reporting is always on. There's not much to say here. Integrated NIC, integrated audio is on, USB control is on. I don't know why you'd have anything off, but firewire is on, serial ports on, PS2 mount is on, front LED color. This is interesting. So you can change the color of the LED. So at the moment it's sapphire. I wonder what we can change it to. So I'm gonna pause this and scroll through the colors. So this one purports to be sapphire, so let's try amber. Like a yellowy amber color, obviously. Emerald, it's like a green. Ruby, oh, red, it's nice. What else we got? So emerald, amber, sapphire, amethyst, it's like a sort of purpley color. Topaz, nice. And diamond is white. Diamond white. Well, let's see. I think I might just leave it where it was, a nice blue colour, which was sapphire for the time being, so we'll leave it as that. Come back to the screen. Performance. Multiple CPUs on, limit CPUs off, acoustic mode, always put that to performance. I'm not sure what difference it makes, but you know, let's have as much performance as we can get. Security, blah blah blah. Don't do anything. Power management, AC recovery should be off, and it is. Auto power on, off. Auto power time, blah blah. Don't need any of that stuff. Maintenance, no defaults, no that. Event log. Okay, so what we got? So not much in the event log. It was cleared on the 3rd of April 2006, and really it's just had battery failures all as we go along. Mind you, it's not a battery failure from today, so I wonder. I'll have to reset the clock and see if it keeps it. Let's go and set the clock. I don't even know what time it is. Never mind, I'll do it later. But anyway, so I'll reset the clock and see if it actually holds it. Yeah, so what else have we got? Fast boot is on, unlock keys on, post hotkeys, and keyboard errors. I don't need to know about those. Cool. So let me just save and actually I will put the correct time. Let's go find something with a time on it. There, date and time are now set. It's actually 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday the 18th of June. So I'm going to leave that and see if actually that helps or retains it now that I've changed it. Maybe I don't need a CMOS battery. But so other plans for this, I'm going to probably repaste the processor. I think that should be done. I probably will put a CMOS battery in it. Yeah, so exciting times. Again, plans for this machine? Don't know really. Might try and put a bit of games on it, but it's really a collector's item for me because they look so fab. So next thing is to put a hard drive in it and start to build it. Okay, so it's a couple of hours later, and made a few changes to the XPS. I took out the 2 IDE CD drives, DVD drives, and replaced them with one DVD drive now. What I've done is I had, so if we look here, I did have a silver blanking plate, not quite the same colour unfortunately, but at least it's not black or white or green. But so I did have a spare blanking plate, and I did have the CD surround, DVD surround, silver surround, but not this bit here, which is a bit annoying. Couldn't find it. I'm sure if I find it, that was quite easy to replace, so at least it sort of tones in a little better now. So those are the changes I've made. Removed the one that was in here that didn't work. So what else? I've taken things off, dusted them off, cleaned them off, that sort of thing. But also I've put a bit more extra memory in there. I went through my memory box and I found I did have a didn't have quite enough 5300 RAM to make it more than 2 gigs, which it already has. But what I did have was a 2 gig stick of 4300, which I've now popped in and it accepted. So we've now got 4 gigs of RAM in here now, which is 2 more than we had. I've also changed the CMOS battery, so I'll now fire it up and we'll see if we can get it going. So I have, so I'm just going to switch it on and go to the, oh, I need to put the power in. Here we go. Right, still sporting that blue colour. All right, and swoop, go to F2, quickly F2. Oh, not quick enough, obviously. So I just got into this. The hard drive on there is formatted, but there's nothing on it. So see if it'll, there we go. Entering setup. So what have we changed? All right, so still the BIOS is still at A09. Need to change that, but I can't do that until I've installed Windows. Processor is the same. And so the memory now, you can see I have now got one extra DIMM of 2 GB memory, bring it now up to 4, which should be fine for what I want this for, which is great. So no additional cost required there. Date and time is now the same because I have put a new CMOS battery in there that seems to be holding. Drives, I've taken the diskette drive, it's now off because there's no floppy drive in there or anything. Drive 0 is the DVD, which reminds me I need to check to see if that DVD works, but I'm not sure because I haven't tested it yet. So actually, yeah, it seems to go in and out, that's good. Right, so if it reads anything, we'll see. So obviously now everything's SATA, not parallel anymore. So I've got SATA drive 1 is the 1 terabyte drive in there. Should be more than enough for everything. So SATA 2 is off, SATA 3 is off, PATA 0 and 1 are also off. Smart recordings back on. Onboard devices, blah 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 blah, no changes there. Front LED colour, keeping the same, but blue. Performance, the other thing I've changed here is move the acoustic mode to performance, and everything else is pretty much the same. What I might do is quickly clear the event log. Clear log, there we go. So all is well. Right, so now I'm going to exit, and I'm going to try and get it to boot from the USB stick I've got in the back. No, don't think it'll do it. I'll have to restart it from scratch. Get to the boot menu. Takes a little while to get the come up. So right, so we're going to USB device. There we go. Right, so this is the tool I use, extremely useful Ventoy. It holds all my images in here that I use to build stuff, or including some. So I've got all my builds of Linux, Mint, Windows 7, Windows 10, a bit of Ubuntu. I've got an ESET sysrescue, DBAN. Very handy if I wanted to clean a disk. And then I've got these two ISOs for boot a simplified Windows. I can't remember what they're called now, but it just allows you to go into a form of Windows and you can use that to interrogate things. It's very handy. Anyway, we're going to put Windows 7 on here, so I can hit this button here and off we go. So now I'm just going to install Windows. Don't think I'll need to show you how that's done. I'm sure you've seen it 100 times, and I'll come back. Okay, a bit of an update. Apologies for the background noise. Some builders have started to work on a Saturday, which is really annoying. Anyway, so I've managed to get a bit of fun and games as I was building this. It started to just recycle, so Windows 7, so it would just reboot constantly. And I suspected that it was the RAM configuration that I had there, two 1 sticks and two 1 gig sticks and one 2 gig sticks, and I think that was what was causing the problem. So I put them out and I put the original 2 gigs back in and it loaded just fine. I've since added 2 more 1 gigabyte sticks, so I now actually have 4 gigs in place using 4 slots. I've updated, I've replaced the graphics card. In there was a NVIDIA GTX 7800, and now I've got an 8800 in there, which has more RAM and is a bit faster. So, luckily this particular power supply has 2 of these power connectors, which is what this graphics card needs, because this could run 2 separate graphics. It's actually got 2 graphics slots, so it could actually run 2 cards, probably in SLI mode I suppose, but for that you would need 2 cards with just 1 power connector, and the only ones I've got are these 8800 GTX, which only have 2, which are a real pain in the neck to find power supplies with that many power connectors. Anyway, so luckily this thing has 2 and it does work. It works just fine. So I've taken out the USB PCI card that was in there, didn't need it, and filled it with a blanking plate, and that's about it really. So in there is the 1 terabyte drive, in there rather. So there's a few changes, and now I'm going to boot it up into Windows. Also, I've put some fuzzy feet on the bottom there, some IKEA fuzzy feet. Used for furniture, but they're quite good for PCs as well. So I stuck them on there as well. Alrighty then, so let's switch it on. So put the power on. There comes the blue light. And what I'm going to do is just do a quick F2. I wanted to explain a few fun and games I had trying to upgrade the BIOS. You see the BIOS is now at A11, it was at A09. I did download the file from the Dell website. You can still do that, and I couldn't get it to run in Windows 7. It kept coming up saying that it couldn't lock the sufficient privileges it needed to do flash the BIOS, so it just wouldn't do it. It kept failing. So in the end what I did was I booted the PC using Windows PE, which is like a lightweight version of Windows that can run from a USB stick. It's useful for troubleshooting and things like that. But I ran that, and then ran the BIOS update on that, and it worked fine. So I don't know why it wouldn't run under, or why it couldn't gain the sufficient privileges under Windows 7. But it seems to have worked that way. So I'm now running it to A11, which I think the main difference was the fact that you can actually run different install different processors in this PC now with this later BIOS. So I think the next step may be to go to a quad core if it'll take one. I need to just check that out. Anyway, nothing else has changed. It's just the BIOS has changed. I don't think there's any particular difference in the way it looks. I haven't changed anything. Right, so let's get out of here. So I'm going to exit out of setup. And it's now going to start Windows. Now Windows is a fairly fresh installing. So there we have it, Windows in all its fairly naked form. What I have done is I've run this program Driver Booster from IObit, is it? Very useful for updating drivers. It's a free bit of software. And what I tend to do is I tend to install it, let it do its updates, and then uninstall it because it just nags you to death to upselling, nagging. So, but it's quite useful for finding drivers you can't find. And I've never had a problem. Only had a problem once or twice, and I've been using it a lot. Where it's installed a driver that wasn't compatible, but on the balance, I think it's worth installing. You can download it for free, run it, do update with drivers. It says there's more that can be done, but with your upgrade. But to be honest, the majority of those that they want to install a sort of Windows gaming drivers, which I'm sure you can get elsewhere, or a game, if you're going to install it, would install them anyway. So you do run a scan, and this one should be okay because it's I ran it earlier today to update the video drivers, so it should be fine. So so it runs to 100%, and then give you a list of things to be done, if anything. Again, useful if you haven't got drivers, there's nothing to do there. Okay, so close that and just to show you CPU ID. So there we are, D930, Pentium D930. And now the graphics should be reflecting the new NVIDIA GTX 8800. Good. Right, so next step is to do all the bazillion updates. So I'm going to let this do that. So I won't So at last count, there was about 170 odd updates to do, and then there's always more after that, so you can spend the whole day updating stuff. I was using a program called WSUS to do this, but it never really updated everything, and for some reason for Windows 7 it stopped working now. Let's avoid the optionals, why not? And off we go. So we'll just leave this running now for the rest of the day. But it's that WSUS, I stopped using it because even if you ran it to what it thought was the end of it's done everything, there's still always, Windows always find more updates to do, so it might as well just do it this way. If that's longer, but you know, you can leave these things running. And off it goes. Right, so we'll sign off and might call it a day on this video. I'll try some games on there as well later.